Talk.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to today's workshop. I have two of my very best business buddies here today. We have Saria Hawkins-Banda from Manifest Your Purpose, and we have Erica Davis from Annie Admin. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but this is a workshop and a treat that you guys do not want to miss out on. I already have my notebook out to take notes so that I can learn from these ladies. Okay, because you don't know everything. You can never learn too much. Okay, and it's great to hear from different perspectives of how people do things. So I'll let them introduce themselves and then we'll jump into today's topic.
You can go first, Erica.
Okay. Hey, I'm Erica Davis. I'm the founder and CEO over at Annie Admin Virtual Assistants. We are based in Fort Worth, Texas. We are virtual assistants for people in the trades. So think your local roofer, plumber, painter, HVAC company, men and women that run those types of companies. We answer their calls, schedule their appointments, dispatch their technicians, and do all their behind the scenes admin. So I'm really excited to be here with Sammy and Soraya. It's really just amazing because I want to learn from her. Sammy has also helped me like so much with just finding grants as well. So I would love to just help anyone along the way on this journey.
Awesome.
And my name is Saria Hawkins-Banda. I'm the proud founder and CEO of Manifest Your Purpose. We are also based in Fort Worth, Texas. Go Frogs. We are a luxury stationery and office accessories company that is unapologetically for Black women. And grants and pitch competitions and raising money has been a huge part of how we're still around because it is not easy running a small business. And I love Sammy to death. We actually worked with a man together back in the day. And now we help each other grow our businesses every day. So I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you so much, ladies. Again, thank you for your time. Both of these ladies are busy. Okay. I admire them so much. They holding it down as business owners, full-time business owners, wives, mother, like they doing a lot. Okay. I can't keep up. I don't know how they do it. So I just admire them so much. So y'all get ready. So first, let's talk about, today we're talking about grant competitions, pitching, and things of that nature, and how to raise money for your business in ways other than loans and things like that. So first, Erica, can you give us a total of like how much money you've raised to date for your business?
So total with non-traditional financing, loans or anything like that is 130,000 over the last 2 years.
Okay, cha-ching. Okay. I should have had some like stacks of money so I could,
I know you don't want to do the money calling. I gotta die as Barbie money so that we need to grab it.
Okay, and Soraya, how much have you raised?
We've raised 45,000 in non-dilutive funding.
Okay, well, since you want to use big terms and all, let's just go and talk about it. Let's just go and get into it. So what does that mean? What does dilutive funding and
Yeah.
funding
So
mean?
diluted funding is money that you owe back to someone, and it comes in a lot of different forms. So it could be a loan, whether it be through a bank or an EDCI, or it can be venture capital funding, which I know we're going to talk about a little later. But non-dilutive funding is my favorite. I'm sure it's everybody's favorite. It's money that you don't owe back. And that's why the primary purpose of this call is to talk about grant money and pitch competitions, because that's how we have raised that money specifically for our business.
Yes, ma'am. And then did you say how long, what was that time period for the money
So
to be?
mine has been in the last year. We just hit 3 years in August, well, end of August, right? And I felt like for the first couple of years, I applied, Sammy, to just about everything, and I wasn't really hearing back. But
Mhm.
what I realized was that it was me that needed to change how I was applying to things. So I had to further define my mission and my vision and learn how to really talk about my company. We've always done great work and we've always had a huge impact in our community, but I didn't really know how to vocalize that. So I feel like all the rejections I got kind of whipped me together. And since I've changed those things, which Sammy definitely helped me to strategically, look at my mission and see how I could get that point across better. Once I did that, we started getting accepted into a lot more competitions and getting a lot more grant money.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect, way to put it because a lot of times people get discouraged from applying for grants and things like that, especially when you don't get the yeses, right? So
Hmm.
it's definitely a numbers game. I like to tell people, I may apply for 100 things, but I mean, some of them they don't even hit you back. They don't even tell you. They just leave you
Most of
hanging.
them.
You never know.
And then you see somebody else get the grant. You like, hold up. I didn't know
Okay,
y'all told
Hello,
people.
hello.
I'm
Yeah.
here. Okay. So I
It's
mean,
me, Lord.
I love that you did not, give up on the process. And so you talked about diluted funding versus non-diluted funding. And so some different ways that you can finance your business can be through bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is when you are just self-financing the business, like you're just getting it out the mud. You're using what's in your bank
Mhm.
account to
Yeah.
fund the business. And so how have you guys done any bootstrapping in your business?
Oh my goodness. Most definitely. Like we originally, it was like every pay period, pulling money aside to start the company, and just funding it like paycheck to paycheck from corporate jobs at that time. So, um, if I probably went back and looked at how much was actually invested personally, I think I'd be a little sad. But that's what we had to do to get things going. And I think a lot of people start that way, and there's really nothing wrong with starting that way, because you want to be able to show that you will invest in yourself before you go pitching to other people or asking other people for assistance with that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Not both of us with the Oprah answer. Absolutely, yes. Erica, I'm right there with you because when I started my company, same thing with Sammy. We were both still working in corporate America, and I started with specifically 14,000 out of my personal savings to get my website. Shout out to Digital Marketing Maven, and product photography and inventory. As a product based business, I know everybody has bills, but mine literally never stop. Every time we sell out of something, we got to restock. And so now that I'm full time, I don't really bootstrap anymore. I just don't really pay myself as much as I would love to because I have to pour that back into the business. And I actually read this stat. I think it was on 15% Pledges Instagram page. One, more than 80% of Black female owners bootstrap their businesses. And on average, we start with around 30,000, which I did not have that much. I said that when I started,
Didn't.
but on average, 30,000. But white men and women start with around 107,000. So I think that really shows the stark disparity between where we're starting versus other people and why grants and pitch competitions and non-dilutive funding are so important for the growth of our businesses because we've already emptied the clip for most people. We've already put everything we had into our business. So
Yeah.
getting grants really help to make up that difference.
Amen. Okay, and I have nothing left to give. Okay, so I
Period.
what more can I give? No, so I did the same, bootstrap my business from the beginning and really didn't know much about grants, or I thought it was this complicated process until I just started seeing different things and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to apply. So that's kind of how I got started on this trajectory. So we'll just briefly talk about some other ways that people may fund their business, which will be crowdfunding, where you're getting other people to invest in the business and donate their own money. Venture capitalists is VC funding, which it's where you give up some equity, part ownership in your business for that funding for them to invest in you to grow and things like that. And then you can go the traditional route, getting loans from the bank. You can also get a line of credit, which, I like a line of credit over a loan because with
Mhm.
lines of credit, of course, you can borrow from it as you need it and then just pay back what you've borrowed versus having a loan, which, you may pay it out over a few years at a high
Mhm.
rate, probably. So let's get into these grants. Okay. So I want to know, how do you guys find grants? People ask me this all the time. How do you find these grants that you're applying for? So what are some things that you guys do?
So for me, like it's really simple in the sense that I set up a Google alert. So I go on Google, type in small business grants, and I set up an alert that I get an email every day that anything that hits Google about a small business grant or small business cohort, I get an email alert about that. And so a lot of times what'll end up happening is that you'll find out about something that has already happened, but if you bookmark that website and you can look at the next period that they open up for the next round of applications, then you're prepared for the next year to be able to apply for that.
Mhm.
So that was one of the easiest ways to find out about all types of random programs. Obviously, social media, there's certain pages that you can follow. Fearless Fund, Hello Alice, just to name a few. Digital Marketing Maven with the email alerts that we get. But those quick alerts just on a daily basis, I mean, usually it'll send you like 4 or 5 links, and some might not be applicable based on like where you live or the industry that you're in, but you just find it out and also pass it along to other people, other business owners that you know are in those industries or those geographic areas. Because what I have found is a lot of times when you share that information, when they find something, they're going to share it right back with you.
Mhm.
And so just not holding the information hostage and making sure that you're really locked into applying for it. But finding it, I've used Google Alerts quite a lot, and as well as some of the newsletters.
Awesome. And I do a lot of those same things. I actually got the Google Alerts thing from you. I was like, this is like a major key right here. People don't know about this.
Simple and free. Yeah,
And to your point about, when you find grants that have already passed, like what I do is I go ahead and put them on my calendar. So I'll
right.
put like an alert on my calendar so that I know to, go back and check on that one so that I don't miss that application period.
Yeah.
Soraya, do you have any hacks that you could add to that list?
Absolutely. So y'all know I'm always gonna plug another Black woman in this on period. And the main source that I get my grants from is Mogul Millennial. Shout out to Brittany Hunter. She's a Dallas-based founder who started this company, and basically like her mission is to help increase access for Black founders to funding. And so she has a free subscription and a paid subscription. I suggest you do the paid because you're able to detail things a lot more according to your industry and your business. And tell them that NYP sent you. If you go sign up, you should. And y'all, like she sends an email every Friday morning, like clockwork around 9 a.m. And it has grants, boom, 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 boom. Like that's how I found out. I knew about Black Ambition, but as far as like me being able to see the specific window for when they were open, I was able to get that and get in and get the application done. And I'll say like 70% of the grants that we've gotten is because I found out about it through Mobile Millennial. I'm someone like Sammy said, and Erica, I know you're super busy as well. When you have multiple kids and you're trying to grow a business and all of these things going on, we get 800, 900 emails a day. You miss things sometimes. So I specifically look for her email, and then y'all know I like to write things down. I write down the ones that I want, and I have a spreadsheet that I keep, and I have the grant, and then I have the deadline. And every Friday, typically, I set aside like 1 hour just to work on grants. And that's really helped me to grow my business for sure. And I was going to add, yes, Fearless Fund, Hello Alice. Please go follow those pages because they are really big. Fearless Fund exists for women of color to invest in their businesses, and they're both VC and non diluted funding. And then 15% Pledge is another one that I would follow. Our Village United is an organization based out of Atlanta. They post a lot of grants that are specific to Black owned businesses. And of course, Mogul Millennial. Because even if you're not signed up for her email list, which obviously you should, she posts a lot of her opportunities on her Instagram page as well.
Yes. Okay. So all these resources will be linked to with this video so that you guys can go directly there. So don't worry about it. If you're not, writing everything down, I will provide the links. Okay, so let's talk about what are some, so Soraya, you touched on this already about, having to go back and, dig deeper into your mission and things like that. So
Mhm.
like so one thing that I've noticed when applying for grants, the questions don't vary that much. The questions
Mm-mm.
are typically in the same realm. So at this point, when I fill out one application, I copy and paste those answers into a Google Doc. And so
Yep.
every grant I've applied for, I just keep those answers and I tweak them based on the application. Right. So we know at this point common questions. So what are some things that, common questions that you guys come across or things you would suggest people are ready to talk about when applying for a grant?
Yeah, I'm going to get to the common questions, but I'll say a few more pieces of information to include in that Google Docs. You know, I don't play by my Google Docs. And make sure it's secure because it's a lot of important information in there. Put like your EIN. That's something I can't remember. By the time I remember my social, my husband, my kids, I don't know my EIN. I have two, about to have three, but that's coming soon.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. So my EIN, my business Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, those are things that almost every grant application asks for. And it just saves time having to go copy paste from all of these different places. So have all of that there. Have your mission statement, your vision statement, and your why, because any grant is going to ask you for those things. And then, like Sammy said, so like the common questions, you know, why did you start this business? What's your problem? Like, what problem are you solving? How are you, how do you stand out in comparison to other people that do it? How are you an innovator or a disruptor, in your industry? What will you do with the grant money, which I know y'all agree that's probably one of the most important ones. And one tip that I've learned, I have, as we develop this ecosystem of sisters that are also, business owners, I have one friend who's won over $300,000, and I'd be like, Bree, what did you put on your application for this grant? Like, what did you do? Because you went everything. So one thing that she told me was to make sure when you're doing funding, unless it's for like $100,000 and you can really spread it across a lot of things, most of these grants are 10,000, 15, 20. Give one direct reason why you would use the funding. I used to give like three. If it's a $5,000 grant, I'm probably not gonna be able to spread it across 3 areas in my business. So I've gotten even more specific about how I'm gonna use the money, and I feel like that's helped me to win more as well. So that's a tip that I have when you're answering that question specifically.
I love that. Erica, can you think of any other common questions or any tips that you have in regards to answering the questions?
For sure. So definitely everything Soraya said. Also making sure that you can accurately express the impact that you're making in the community. Or if you have employees, what the staffing model looks like, how many full-time, how many part-time, how do you and your team also impact the community? That gets asked a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm.
Um, Talking about how do you source your business, like how do you actually find clients, who is your target. If you can't clearly articulate that, that's probably going to be a problem. uh,
Mhm.
Also focusing on making sure that, like she said, you can't spread $5,000, $10,000 really anywhere.
Because I
So
can
like
do it
that's
like
it.
this.
Oh,
It's gone before you even get it.
it's gone, immediately gone. And so you really want to make sure that you can say, hey, this $10,000 that I'm applying for, I'm going to use it for X, and X is going to yield Y, and Y is for the greater good, which is going to turn us all into Z. So you want to be able to paint that picture and to show
Mhm.
what the return on their investment into you, even though it's money you don't have to pay back. But they want to know that, like, hey, we didn't just give this to you and you went on vacation. We didn't just give this to you and you just paid off some debt that was in your company. Like, how are you actually going to continue to scale your model and your idea? So really painting that picture of like forward movement as to, hey, this is where we're going. You contributing this amount of money is going to get us there. Like, help me get there, help us get
Right.
there. So being able to clearly articulate that is, I think, super important. And all the normal things, your why, your vision. People throw vision and mission out very loosely, and it seems like a lot of fluff, but it is extremely important. Beyond just like, hey, we build widgets and we put together this. Like, why are you actually doing that? Why is it different? What are you actually doing to help the world at large or your local community, depending on how your business model is. And so just being able to really show that so that they can get a clear picture. They don't know you from Adam, like they don't know anything about you. So this is your time to really express that. And also make sure you're following the guidelines. Like if it says 250 words or less, don't write an essay because they're not about to read it. If
Not
it says we need a video, you need to put that video together and make sure that you've got that done. So uh,
Girl,
my biggest tips on anything that you're applying for.
she just preached a sermon on that one.
okay.
Okay.
And I hope the people taking notes.
I
Okay.
hope y'all listen to what she, especially that last part. Follow the rules.
Because that's number one. You could at least do that. If you don't do anything else, just follow the rules that they have set to a T, because they're getting thousands and thousands of applications. So they're going to be looking for any little thing to throw yours out, or just
Mhm.
get through the process and get through all those applications. So if you don't, at minimum, follow the instructions, then you can just count that one out. Okay, just count it out.
Period.
Just
Mhm.
like when you're hiring someone and how many people apply, how quickly are you looking to move that list
Mhm.
to nothing? You don't truly want to go through every application. So they're going to find a reason to cross you out to make sure you're.
Mhm.
That's right. And so then I want to just touch on use of funds a little bit deeper. So in your opinion, because Erica, you said something about don't just say you're paying off debt. Now that might be what you're trying to do.
Never say that. Actually, I got that tip. Don't ever say
That
you
might be what you're
can.
trying to do, but
You can do it, but don't say that you're doing it. They don't want to hear that.
No.
no. And so what are some good uses of funds that you guys would say that, that they may be looking for on the application?
Hiring a digital marketing Maven.
Mhm.
Getting,
Absolutely.
really anything that's going to further your growth. Growth is just the name of the game, and being able to clearly state facts as to, hey, we know it costs us X amount of dollars to bring in a new client. If you're giving us 10,000, that means we can put that into this marketing spend. As well as, whether, or let's say it's a smaller amount, like I've received $5,000 grants, we use that to set up for next year for a vendor fair or like a trade show, really, where there's like 3,000 people in attendance of our target market. So things that are going to yield more revenue and more results. Also, hiring. So if you're creating jobs, sometimes there are grants that are specifically around job creation. So if it's around a job creation grant, you don't want to say, "Oh, I'm about to spend this on marketing," when they're talking about job creation. So it's like, hey, with this $10,000, I can hire 2 additional part-time people. That'll get us through like the first 2 to 3 months of the season, and bringing on more revenue in based on that. So also being able to tell like how much your employees generate for you. So by bringing on this new full-time person, that's going to add another 150K to our bottom line. Like but you have to know your numbers, number one, to be able to
Whew.
articulate that. So if you don't know that, let's back on up and figure that out
Yeah.
first.
Right. Oh,
Once again, a sermon. They don't even understand how much they just got from that. I hope y'all listening,
I'm
because
taking notes, okay? And I have
this
five
is stuff
questions.
I needed to know when I first started. Maybe I would have won more grants, when I first started. But it's a journey, and now I can share that with
Yeah.
other people. Everything that Erica said, especially knowing your numbers, but I want to wait till we talk about pitching to specifically elucidate on that point. But I would say, like, as far as usage of funds, once again, I'm a product-based business, so I'm always inventory and new product development, because we're always in a state of creating new products. And it's one thing it costs to create, and then it costs to actually purchase that inventory. And like Erica said, doing that is going to bring my company more money, right? So if I can say, we've already tripled our revenue from last year to this year, and the chance to stock up on more inventory will help us increase it by this percentage. That's a great way to say, I'm going to properly use the funds that you give me. As of late, a lot of the grants that I've been applying for, I specifically said that I want to use it to increase, not increase, but help get more trademarks for my brand. We're 33 days away from getting our name trademark, which I'm super excited about because it's been a struggle. Okay. But then we have more trademarks to apply for our artwork and likeliness, things of that nature, and then certification. So I think that's really important because we're WeBank certified, but I've talked to Sammy, like, I want to get my NMSDC. There's a couple of others that I want to get that are specific to my industry. That helps you to get more connections, which will help you to make more money. And so I feel like you can never go wrong saying that you need to get legal help. because that is not cheap for anybody. And to get certifications and stocking up on inventory if you're a product-based business. But also, we need a warehouse. Like up until this point, we ran everything out of my home. I have no more square footage to dedicate to manifest your purpose. So I already know exactly how much it costs for a 1-year lease on a 544 square foot warehouse. I know that number. I give that number every time I apply for a grant because I'm like, I can specifically use this money in order to get that. That'll help me to order more inventory at once, thereby increasing my profit margin. I always stick it back to a quantitative statistic for my business. So yeah, those are some examples of things that I use when I'm applying for grants.
Listen, y'all can't pay for this type of information,
You
okay?
really can.
You cannot. This is invaluable information. You know how sometimes like you have like these are money conversations, okay? These are things
Money.
that can help that's gonna help you grow your business, okay? We're giving y'all free game, okay? So what I want to kind of touch on, because I want to touch on pitch competitions, and I want to touch on the numbers, but I just want to take a step back and say all of this is information that's great for you to have, but if your business foundation is not together, none of this is going to matter, right?
Yeah.
You have to have an official business entity. That means you need to have an LLC, S corp, what have you, whatever is applicable to your business. You have to make sure you have your EIN. You know, I've saw some grants where they go and check and make sure you're in good standing with the Secretary
Yeah.
of State. So that means you have to have paid your taxes and be in good standing there. You know, so those are just some foundational things. Beyond that, your digital presence is important. Do you have a website where they can go and learn more about, you know, your business, your product, your service? How are you showing up on social media? If you think that they're not investigating and digging into, you know, as much as they can about you, you're wrong. So you just want to make sure those things are intact as well. You may not have a lot of money to invest in a fancy website. You may have to put something up for yourself. The goal is to have something up, you know, and out there. It may not be the best, but that's why you're applying for the grant money. You can go and invest it later and upgrade those things. But I just want to take a step back and say that it's very important that your business's foundation and your presence online and in person is intact as well.
And one more thing, get a business bank account. Stop doing stuff out of your personal account because these grants are not going to put something in your personal bank account. It
They're
has to be
not.
a business bank account. So I just want to because get a business bank account. That's all I'm going to say.
Marketing Maven and Associates is here to help you bring your vision to reality. We not only help you establish your brand identity with your logo, brand colors, and fonts, but we also design beautiful websites that not only attract the right individuals to you, but helps you to convert them into paying clients and customers. At DMM, we not only care about the visual aspect of your business, but we also care about your business's foundation. So we can help you establish your LLC, get the proper licenses, and anything else that you may need to run your business successfully. We not only want to help you create a beautiful website and a beautiful brand, but we want you to create a sustainable business that can take you to the next level. If you're ready to get started, click the link below and we'll reach out to you within 24 hours to let you know how to take the next step.
Now let's shift just a little bit into talking about pitch competitions. And I know that knowing your numbers is important on both sides because the level of detail that you guys spoke about on your use of funds and things like that, you can't speak to that if you don't know where you've been, the history of your business, and you haven't done the research to know what those things are actually going to cost you. So I know when pitching, it's even more important, but just when you say know your numbers, what does that mean? Like, let's just elaborate a little bit on what does knowing your numbers mean, and maybe talk about like what kind of financial statements and things like that you may have to turn in as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So my background before I started my company, I was actually a commercial lender, and so I've been on both sides of the table, and it's extremely awkward for me to be on the other side of the table. But the biggest thing, number one, like, do you even really know your revenue numbers? Let's just start there. Year over year, do you know your growth, your profit margin, like your bottom line? Are you even profitable? Profitable? When will you become profitable? You know, the expenses, what it costs for you to acquire a new customer, If you're in a product-based business, totally different. I'll let Saria answer that. But for service-based businesses, payroll is typically your largest expense. So you need to really have a very clear understanding as to like what portion of your revenue is going to payroll, or your cost of goods sold, whatever that might be. And being able to articulate to the investors or whoever's running the pitch competition, how are you going to take that money and make more money for them, especially if it's diluted funding, and making sure that it's a return on their investment. They want to know what's in it for them, really. Like, yes, you're amazing, you made it this far, you're here in front of us, but how does this benefit us as the people you're pitching to?
Preach. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I would say that knowing your numbers is the most important part of pitching. One thing, and I've done a lot of pitch competitions. One thing I've seen consistently is that you can be an amazing public speaker. You can have the personality and all of that stuff, but if you're not backing it up with stats on your business, it doesn't matter. It's not about who's the best speaker, who has on the red bottoms or the best outfit. It's about, is your business viable, and is that a good, investment on whoever is hosting the competition? I 1000% agree with Erica. Your revenue is super important year after year. And then I would always think of it in terms of percentage increases. So I coach a lot of people on pitching. I was talking to someone yesterday, and I do pitch competitions where I'm competing against people who have been on Shark Tank and they have millions of dollars in revenue. I don't have that yet. Okay, we're manifesting. So I normally don't state my revenue in solid numbers. I state it as percentage increases because to me it shows more how I'm growing. So I can say I grew my business from year 1 to year 2 during COVID, mind you, by almost 300%. That is very impressive to judges. I'll say, to know that I know that stat, but to be able to put it that way, it sounds a little better than saying, it was a $60,000 difference. And then I would make sure, like she said, profit margin, retention rate is super important for both service and product-based businesses. And depending on the website you have and what type of data it provides, I know Shopify gives all of that instantly. Which is why it's super important when you're choosing a platform to make sure you choose one that makes it easy to be able to pull these types of stats. Specifically for product-based business, I'm not saying it's not important with service, but they're always going to ask your CAC, which is your customer acquisition cost, and your LTV, which is your lifetime value. So that's like over the span of a customer's lifetime, how much are they projected to spend with you? Once again, Shopify gives these stats. And I had Shopify since the beginning, and I didn't know what those things were until I started pitching. I'm like, man, they keep asking about these things. So I made it my business to know my numbers. And I'll say this, never be embarrassed about your numbers, because like Erica said, it could be that you're not profitable at this point, but you're like, we predict based on our trends. It's not just that you're pulling it out of your butt, but based on our revenue and our sales trends, that in another year and a half we'll be profitable. All they want to know is that you've done the research and know that about your business. I'm always very upfront when I pitch. We've been approached by major retailers several times. I don't have the money to be on a major retail shelf right now. It's very expensive, especially when you're looking at being in multiple stores across the US. Our goal right now is to raise $41,000 specifically for a certain retailer, because it's so expensive. You have to handle theft, you have to handle shipping. Those are things that people don't tell you. So when I pitch and they're like, oh, well, why aren't you in Target? Honey, I need money. So give it to me. And I promise you, in 6 months' time, you will see me on that shelf. But it's like, I'm always very honest about what I don't have. And I feel like that actually gives me an advantage, because that shows that I actually know my business and I know at this point what we can handle. Right. And so even if you're not, where you think you should be or where you think other people are, because a lot of people lie, be honest about where you are, and that can still help you win and get money in the long run.
Gems.
Okay. Add one thing with what Saria said. So honestly, in the beginning of my business, I did not pitch. I did not even apply for grants. I just didn't apply because I was like, there's no point. I'm not where I need to be. They're not going to pick me. And what I did learn over these last couple of years, like she said, there will be people in the room I've gone up against businesses that are making $7 to $10 million a year. We don't make $7 to $10 million a year, and beat them. So it's like that's
That
really
part.
what it's about. It's
Hmm.
really about your business model, you as a founder, and how you lead.
Hmm.
And what are you going to do to use these funds to grow? So I say that to say, like, don't take yourself out of the race by not even
Hmm.
bidding. Even if you don't get it, you learn and you grow from that experience. And like we talked about earlier, you can put it on your calendar for the next year and be better and more prepared for that in the following year.
Yeah.
So nothing, even if you lose a competition, it's really not a loss, because if you take the information they're giving you and the feedback and you receive it, the worst thing you can do is not receive the feedback and not implement it, because
Right.
these people know what they're
Yeah.
talking about. That's why they're judging it. And so a lot of times I'll talk to founders after and they're like, well, they don't know it's like, no, they do know what they're talking about. So
Yeah.
take that feedback, apply it, and get ready for the next go round or the next competition.
Absolutely. And I'll say, like, I echo that you never know who's in the room when you're doing these things. And one pitch competition that I really wanted to get into, I didn't. But the woman who was the lead judge is like the godmother of pitching, Melissa Bradley. And I went up to her and was like, I need 15 minutes with you. I had my questions ready. I sent her my deck ahead of time. She got me together in those 15 minutes, and the stuff that she has taught me has been invaluable. As far as I might not have gotten into that one, but I've beat people that have been on Shark Tank because she gave me that free game. And now she's also the head advisor for our company. So I feel like I got way more than I could have won in a pitch competition because I strategically read the room and was like, okay, if I didn't get this opportunity, how can I get others based on the social capital and the people that are in the room? So that sometimes is even more valuable than winning a dollar amount.
Absolutely, because $10,000, $15,000, I can spend like this. Literally, I could spend that in 10 minutes. I'm not even playing. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
winning a competition and getting that money is one thing, but definitely when you capitalize the network, now you can 3, 4, 5 times that money if you can actually leverage the people in that room. And that's not to say be opportunistic. That's not being an opportunist. That's
It
about go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just happens. Like if you are authentically who you are, you represent yourself and your brand very well, the right people will be attracted to that. So you never really, I'm sure Soraya didn't have to force that conversation. There's nothing forced about it at that point. We had a pitch competition. It was actually my first like real one. It wasn't practice. In early part of January or February of this year in San Diego, and we came in second place. It was a shock because never pitched really before. And it wasn't a whole lot of money. I think it was like $2,500 additional on top of the grant we already had. But the person in the room that was really quiet, he was in the back. I knew nothing about this man. They actually own a software company for people in the trades, that we work with. And so he connected me to another person, and that individual has referred over $150,000 in annual revenue, like
Wow.
competitive annual
Wow.
monthly recurring revenue. So $2,500 in a pitch competition or 150K a year over the span of however many years.
Okay.
So what she's saying is so on point, and it wasn't forced. They were like, "We love what you're doing. I have someone that's like," people want to help good people.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, go in with an open mind and be willing to listen, receive, and be open to something that might come in a different form other than what you thought you were going in there to get, because that really might be the better situation for you.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, let me just get you guys to give me 2 or 3 things. So, because for pitch competitions, there's typically a pitch deck that has to be submitted. So just give me 2 or 3 things that you think should be included in a pitch deck.
Um, One, your basic information, like your email, your phone number, your title for your business, that should be on the title slide. Two, it's not necessarily something that it should contain, but don't let it be more than 10 slides. Don't do that. Let your primary deck be 10 slides, and then I will have supplemental slides in case they ask specific questions about customer breakdown or things like that. And then the last tip I would give is to make sure you have your projections in your pitch deck, because it's great whatever you've done thus far, but how are you going to use money to get to where you're trying to go, and what is the projection in 1, 2, 3? I say 3 to 5 years of projections to see, oh my God, they already hit this, but they're set to hit 1 million in 3 years. I think that's super important.
Definitely. And to add to that, for like, especially for pitching, your addressable market size. So like, what is the total addressable market? Like, how many potential customers in what, if it's the country, the world, depending on your product, can you sell to? What is the like realistic addressable market that you can actually do? And then you can show backtracks like, hey, here's what we've achieved currently just on our own strength and resources. With your help, we can reach this, which yields revenue, dollar amount X. And be realistic. Like, don't say, oh, we're going to sell to 50 million people just because there's 50 million people, right?
Right.
Really do the research and have the stats to back it up, as well as understanding like truly who your customer, like Saria has a very specific customer. I have a
Mhm.
very specific customer. We are virtual assistants, but we do not service everybody. Saria is not trying to be the thing, manifest your purpose to all, women. Great, you can
Sure,
come
I'm not.
in the sandbox, but make sure you can clearly state like this is who we're going after, because that's where the money is, and they can quickly wrap their head around it as well, and it's not generic.
Correct.
Mhm.
I love that. And total addressable market, you may hear people refer to it as TAM. We're gonna have like the definitions and things like that in the post as well. So
Yeah.
okay, so I just want to note one thing, and if you guys have something to add to it, I think on grant applications as well as pitch applications, storytelling is very important. So being able to articulate, your brand, why it exists, why you started this, what it does, as well as, relate the story of where it's going as well. So
Mhm.
it's not really just saying, boom, boom, boom. You have to be able to craft that into a message that people can understand, and you really don't want to have to take a lot of time to get people to
Mhm.
understand it either, because you will only have their attention for a limited amount of time. So I don't know if you guys have
Mhm.
anything to add to that, but I just want to also
Yeah.
point that out.
I'd say next to stats, your ability to storytell is super important, but that goes back to making sure your foundation is good. If you don't know who your target demo is, you can't tell the story. If you don't have a clear mission or a compelling mission, you're not going to be able to tell your story. And I feel like it's important to always appeal to ethos. That means like tug on the heartstrings a little bit. And people think, oh, I can't do that. I sell whatever. I sell journals and planners, and I'm able to very quickly like state my story and why it was important for me to create things that look like me. Because I used to cry when I walked in the store. I used to pitch a fit when I was a child because I never saw anything that looked like me. And so you have to always dig deep to find that. But the more that you pull out, the more it will be relatable. And one more quick tip that I have is when you're pitching, you should have a 1 minute pitch, a 3 minute pitch, and a 5 minute pitch. Because depending on the competition, you're going to have different time constraints. A minute is starting to become really popular, especially for grant applications as well. They want a quick little video, and that's the hardest one to do. But make sure you have pitches in different formats so you're prepared. Sometimes I pitch with 5 minutes, sometimes I pitch with 3, which is also very difficult. But you have to be able to tell your story. If you don't know how to do that, you're not going to succeed with either one of those time constraints.
That's right. Anything to add to that, Erica?
Same thing. The whole idea is that you want to make them feel something when they're either reading your words or they are listening to you speak. And so if it doesn't come across passionate, like you're not passionate about it, why would they care?
Amen.
Amen. Well, I want to thank you both today. I will make sure your information is linked and so people know how to reach out to you. Saria, I know you do some coaching. You'll help, pitch and do strategy sessions with the people if they need it. Erica, I don't know if you do anything like that, but if she does, she say, no, don't reach out to her.
He said, please
I'm
hesitate.
trying to get to 7 to 10 million. So
Yeah.
Okay.
coach off. No.
And I know y'all see the Forbes plaque in the background. Don't play
It's
with
just so nicely put. I know I see that. I'm like, yes.
Don't play
You gotta
with
let
it.
the people know.
But I appreciate your time today, ladies. You have it's no telling how many people you will impact with this information. So thank you for being willing to share your time, your resources. Thank you for being my friends. And I love the both of y'all, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love
Thank
you. And thank you, Sandy.
Bye.
Bye.
Mama Maven Talk. Digital Marketing Maven and Associates is here to help you bring your vision to reality. We not only help you establish your brand identity with your logo, brand colors, and fonts, but we also design beautiful websites that not only attract the right individuals to you, but helps you to convert them into paying clients and customers. At DMM, we not only care about the visual aspect of your business, but we also care about your business's foundation. So we can help you establish your LLC, get the proper licenses, and anything else that you may need to run your business successfully. We not only want to help you create a beautiful website and a beautiful brand, but we want you to create a sustainable business that can take you to the next level. If you're ready to get started, click the link below and we'll reach out to you within 24 hours to let you know how to take the next step.